to get a report that indeed the Department of Labour, working together with the Department of Home Affairs, they've already visited quite a lot of companies unannounced, and they want to actually continue with this work. They must continue with this work irrespective of what happens to these recommendations, which I'm going to come back to in terms of the process. Also, another recommendation of the task team is that there must be the strengthening of the process of validation and verification of immigration and visa documentation, including work permits and foreign driver's licenses. And also, by the way, the other thing about driver's licenses, which we are already working on at the level of SADC, is the mutual recognition of driver's licenses within the region. That if South Africa will recognize, for example, Zimbabwean truck drivers' licenses, the Zimbabweans must also recognize our own licenses, because that helps to create a common framework within which we act. That is why also one of the recommendations says that's why the task team involved the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, which also plays an important role in terms of monitoring SADC-wide regional agreements as well as bilateral international relations between two countries. Also, another recommendation is that the Department of Labour and Home Affairs must provide feedback on the analysis and impact of foreign nationals living or working in South Africa, and this be elevated to discussion by Cabinet. These are some of the key recommendations. But in addition to these recommendations from the task team, we further agreed that, therefore, what I will do as Minister of Transport, because I was receiving these recommendations today from the task team, I will go and share these recommendations with my colleagues. In the main, Minister of Labour, Minister of Home Affairs, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, and Minister of Police. We must say the Minister of Police yesterday did meet with employers, because he was concerned, together with the other ministers, that employers need to actually commit to a process of resolving this problem. So then this report builds on the many of these initiatives that we have actually been carrying out. But also we're going to take these recommendations to employers to say to them, these are recommendations that have come out of this government-led task team, that we want these things to be enforced. We want these recommendations to be implemented. And then we committed ourselves that by the end of April this month, everybody then must come back into one room and say, what is our response to these recommendations, what do we agree upon, and then we are able to move forward so that we are able to move as soon as possible. And in that process of taking this forward, the Department of Labour, assisted very closely by the Department of Home Affairs, is going to take the lead. And as the Department of Transport and other government departments, we are willing to support that process, especially in areas that require our attention, like driver's permits, driver's licenses, and so on. We will have to play our own role as the Department of Transport. That is what we have agreed upon, and that we give this matter the priority that it deserves, it's been a matter that has been going on for too long. We need to find a framework and a way of being able to deal with the challenges. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. We shall give the members of the media an opportunity to...
So that was the Transport Minister, Dr. Blade Nzimande, speaking to the media there about a task team report, and he's giving feedback on what it found and some of the issues, particularly around drivers, the licenses and permits to travel and work in the country, particularly drivers coming in from other countries in the region. And he was giving an update on the report as it's come out and the recommendations that have been put forward as he was working as a department with other departments such as Home Affairs. And he says that this report and its findings are going to be put through to employers for feedback, and that by the end of April, hopefully they'll all get back into one room and discuss a way forward to deal with some of these permits. As you would have known, that there was some violence that played out in KwaZulu-Natal last week, and people were complaining that foreign drivers who are illegal were able to drive trucks and lorries in South Africa, and that this was one of the problems that have been perpetuating for some time that needed to be addressed. We'll have a little bit more on that later on in the programme, but first let's take a quick